Hello listeners, I am Dr. Anuj Kumar Sharma, Assistant Professor in Center for Advanced Studies, which is in campus research driven institute of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. So, this is a course which has been incorporated in this session from 2021 2021 sorry. So, this subject name is Fundamentals of Mechanical Engineering and Mechatronics. So, it is a compulsory subject for the students of first year. In first semester it is run with the code KME 101 T, and in second semester it is 201 T. So, this is the first lecture of this subject, in which we will discuss simple stress and strains. So, as far as the outline of my presentation or today's lecture is concerned, we will have a discussion on the subject and its syllabus, because it is the first lecture. So, we will see how we will go through the different lectures. We will discuss the unit wise syllabus also in brief. Then we will discuss the direct stress and its types, shear stress, the normal strain and its types. So, likewise we will move in this particular lecture, and then we will have a discussion over the shear strain. So, as far as the syllabus of this subject is concerned, so we have 5 units in this syllabus. It is a full credit course. So, in a week 3 lectures, no tutorial, no practical. So, it would be covered in 40 lectures for this particular syllabus. So, as far as first unit is concerned, it is based on the introduction to mechanics of solids. So, we will start from this introduction to mechanics of solids, in which we will study the different types of stresses, strains induced in the members, fundamentals of the mechanics of solids. Then we will study the beams, different types, and bending, shear force and bending moment diagram in this unit. In unit 2, it is the introduction to IC engines and refrigeration and air conditioning, in which we will discuss about the IC engines, refrigeration and air conditioning. So, from the point of view of heat transfer, it is very important, and as far as the application is concerned. In unit 3, it is based on the fluid mechanics. So, introduction to fluid mechanics and applications, in real time applications we will discuss. In unit number 4, we will discuss about the measurements and control system. So, different types of measurements, errors, instruments, what are the control instruments. So, all these we will discuss about this in unit number 4. And the last unit is based on the mechatronics. So, it is the new area in which or we can say the emerging areas in which the many people are working. So, we will discuss about the mechatronics, in which we will have a discussion on the sensors and different types of actuators, actuation systems, how the actuators work and different types of sensors, what is the basic terminology of the sensor. So, all these 5 units are divided into certain number of lectures. So, I will try to cover the first unit in 8 lectures. So, as far as the introduction of the subject is concerned, so because we have to have the basics of mechanics of solids, what does it mean, what is its importance and why we are studying, because being of different backgrounds, because it is the common subject to all. So, all of us should know the basics and the necessity of this subject. So, as it is clear from the definition that solid mechanics as a subject may be defined as a branch of applied mechanics that deals with the behavior of solid bodies subjected to various types of loading. So, we study about this in solid mechanics. So, solid mechanics, in which we study the different types of application of forces on the behavior of the solid bodies. So, generally it is divided into 2 category, 2 streams. First is the mechanics, So, which is generally known as the mechanisms of or mechanics of rigid bodies. So, it is known as the simple mechanics, in which we study the kinetics and kinematics of the rigid body, and second is the mechanics of deformable bodies. So, as we know, the objects may be of two types, one may be the rigid, another may be the deformable. So, let us say we have this object, or this is the point object. So, we cannot deform it. So, the motion of this object under different conditions, that we generally study in the branch of solid mechanics, which is known as the mechanics, in which we study this much of force is being applied to this object, it is moving in this direction with this velocity, with this acceleration, and this much of distance it is covered in time t. So, all these things we generally study on the solid or we can say the rigid body. But another branch is also in which the body is deformable solids, like let us say we have a object. So, this is the object, and we, just like the eraser, we apply the force on this body. So, it is deformed after the application of certain amount of force. If we cross that amount, so what does it what happens to the shape of the object? So, let us say this is the body and it is hard, or we can say, so we cannot provide sufficient force to deform it. So, for us it may be a rigid body. So, we apply the force and its shape does not change, then it is the deformable body. But if it is of rubber or elastic material, then what happens to it? We apply, we stretch it, it is stretched, we compress it, it is compressed. So, it means it is deformable body. So, upon the application of force, the shape or size of the object is changed. So, in that case, so if we study this, so this is we are going to study in this subject. So, we are going to study the mechanics of deformable body. So, it means there are two types of bodies, rigid or deformable. So, for the deformable body we are going to study, that is why the name of this subject is the name of the unit, this which we are going to study in this particular unit, that is the mechanics of solids, right. So, we are not going to cover the point object mechanics. Now, mechanics of rigid bodies, it is primarily concerned with the static and dynamic behavior under external forces of engineering components. So, this is we generally study in the, it is of rigid body. So, for rigid body we generally study in the mechanics separately, but now it is little bit advanced. So, we have to study the mechanics of deformable bodies. So, we are going to study this in this subject. So, it is more concerned with the internal forces and associated changes in the geometry of the components involved. So, geometry of the object is changed in this, and sometimes after the application of the forces, so the strength of which will determine whether the components fail by breaking in service, and the stiffness of which will determine whether the amount of deformation they suffer is acceptable, whether the deformation amount is acceptable or not. So, that we generally study in this. So, the subject of mechanics of materials or strength of material is central to the whole activity of engineering design. Usually, the objectives in analysis here will be the determination of the stresses, strains and deflections produced by the load. So, all these we will study in this unit. So, how much stress would be induced, how much strains would be induced, so all we are going to study in this. So, let us start with the simple stress. So, it means we will discuss the strength, because it is sometimes it is known as the strength of materials also. So, strength means it is the maximum resistance offered by any material to the external applied force or load. Let us say this is the object and we apply some force on this. So, it is the compressive load. So, if we apply this force on this object, so it may be deformed, or sometimes what is it is doing, it is applying some resisting force. So, to resist the deformation, otherwise what will happen, let us say it dimension is L. So, after some times it may happen like this. So, we are applying this force. So, it may become L minus delta L. So, the dimension may be reduced. So, this is the deformation. So, the object wants to retain its original shape and it will object the deformation. It will object means it will raise a object or it will resist the deformation. So, it does not want it to be lower down in the terms of length. So, it will induce some forces here. So, this is the resistance which this object is raising against the external force that will determine its strength. So, the material strength should be sufficient for different applications. So, if we talk about the load, so load may be the external load, external forces. So, if we are applying this force, sometimes it is known as the load. So, whatever forces we are applying from outside, so these forces are known as the loads. So, generally 3 types of loads are there. One is the tensile, another one is compressive and third one is shear forces. So, we should know how these forces act. So, let us consider this example. Here this green color, this is the body and we are pulling this object by this. So, whatever load we are applying, so this is the load. So, this is which type of load? We are trying to stretch the object. So, it is tensile in nature, it will create tension in the object. So, it is tensile in nature. So, it will try to elongate the object. So, what this object will do, that we will discuss in the subsequent slide. So, this kind of load is known as the tensile. Another category is compressive force. So, this is the object and some force is trying to compress. So, let us say this is the object and it is trying to compress it. So, this is the compressive in nature. So, that compression will try to reduce the size of the object like this. This is the example where you can see force F is being applied, which is compressive in nature. So, it will try to reduce the size of the object. Third is the shear force. Now, we can see here. So, these two forces are direct forces. Why direct forces? Because we are applying the forces normal to the surface. So, if this is the object, if we will see in 3D diagram, so this is the object. So, this is the cross sectional area. So, this force is applied, normal means perpendicular to this area. So, this is the area, cross sectional area of the object and that force is being applied perpendicular to this area. So, that is why it is known as the direct force. So, whether it is compressive or it is tensile, but it is direct force. Now, the next category is shear force. So, if we apply force parallel to the plane, so now you can understand what is the difference. So, if we apply perpendicular to this, so it becomes direct force. Now, if it is parallel, let us say this is the plane and we are applying this force which is parallel to this plane. So, this force is, let us say this is P1 and this is P2. So, P1 force is direct force, P2 force is shear force, because it is parallel to or tangential to the surface. Now, if any force is acting on this plane in this direction like this, this force now let us say this is P3. So, P3 force is parallel to this plane. So, this is also shear force. So, these 3 types of forces generally acts in the strength of material or mechanics of solids. So, now you see the stress. Now, we will discuss the stress, what does it mean, because we are studying the deformable bodies. So, till now we have covered this, ki there may be rigid body, there may be deformable body. So, if this body is subjected to the forces, we generally studied the mechanics. So, mechanics may be for rigid body as well as for the deformable body, but we are focusing here, we are focusing on the deformable body. So, this is known as the mechanics of deformable body. So, this we are going to study in this unit. I hope you have understood what we are trying to explain. Now, due to this deformable body means this body is going to be deformed under the action of forces. So, we have to study different types of stresses induced in the body, strains induced in the bodies, what is the deflection, what is the slope of that beam if it is beam. So, different types of deformations we are going to study. So, it is very simple to understand. Now, the stress and strain we are going to cover in this particular lecture. So, what is the stress? So, it is clear from this diagram. Let us say this is the body, and now you can see. So, we are applying this force on this body perpendicular to, because it is the front view. So, it is acting perpendicular to this. So, these are the direct stresses. Now, as if we see from the figure, it is tensile in nature. So, it is trying to elongate this. Initially its length is L. Now, we have drawn the cross sectional area, means which is this. So, if we see, if we draw it, so it is this area. So, that force is acting actually perpendicular to this. So, just to retain its shape, what does this object will do? It will introduce or it will induce the internal resisting force, which will try to keep this body in its original shape. So, if we will see, so it will try to retain its length L definitely. So, when external forces are applied on any body, the body offers resistance force. So, this is the resistance force. So, by definition stress is internal resistance force, this force divided by the normal cross sectional area. So, this A. So, it means by definition sigma is equal to F by A, and F is what? If it is not deformable, or we can say if it is not sufficient to deform this object. So, body has generated sufficient amount of stress, then or sorry the internal resistance, then sigma becomes F by A. So, F is equal to this F if it is under equilibrium. So, the total force will be equal to shear force, the resistance force will be F, the total area is A. So, it is the direct stress. So, this is the tensile stress. If we see the formula of this, it is Newton per meter square. F, the unit of F is Newton and area in meter square. So, what is this? Sigma, the unit of sigma is stress is Newton per meter square, and in short it is known as the Pascal or represented by P A. So, this is the SI unit of this stress. So, this is the stress. Now, stress may be of two types. One may be the normal stress, which is represented by sigma n generally. Maybe there are different books in which different notations are used, but we can have the standard notations. So, normal stress again can be classified into tensile stress as well as compressive stress. Now, we will discuss this. Normal means when the force is perpendicular to the surface, or we can say the direct stress, then it is normal stress. So, if we see here, it is the tensile in nature, it is compressive in nature. So, there are two types of stresses, but stresses are direct. Why? Because the forces which we are applying from the outside of the body or the external forces, this force is acting perpendicular to this surface. So, that is why these stresses are known as the direct stresses. Here you can see the force has tendency, tensile means it is has a tendency to elongate the body. So, therefore, the tensile stresses try to resist the elongation in the object. Similarly, compressive stresses, they have tendency, if the force has a tendency to compress the body, the compressive stresses try to resist the compression in the object. Okay. Now, next is the shear stress. It is generally represented by tau. We generally call it as tau, TAU. So, when forces act parallel to the surface, as shown in the next slide, we will see the stresses induced are known as shear stresses. Now, let us come to the next slide. So, this is the shear stress. So, there are two types of stresses. What is the difference between here and there? You can see here the forces are perpendicular to the plane on which they are acting, but here you can see the forces are acting parallel to the surface. So, the object is this and this force is acting parallel to this or tangential to this. So, when equal and opposite forces act parallel to the surface, why equal and opposite? Because you have to either fix this object here, or if you do not want to fix it, you can apply a opposite force so that it cannot travel in this direction due to this force. So, that is why we fixed the one end as the case mentioned in this figure. You can see it is fixed so that it cannot move, and this force, it is the isometric view and this one is the front view. So, you can see this force is acting in this direction. So, it will try to shear the planes over each other and it has given one deformation. So, this deformation is phi or sometimes represented as gamma. So, this is the shear strain. So, you can say by definition stress is what? It is the internal resistance per unit area. So, internal resistance is what? Let us say internal resistance is F. So, this F divided by area. Area is what? How much area? So, this area on which it is acting. So, it is acting on this area. So, this is tau is equal to F by A. So, it is the resisting force or resisting shear force divided by area or tangential area. So, here if you want to see the unit, so force is measured in the terms of Newton and area is again meter square. So, the unit of this is again the same, which is Newton per meter square, and in short it is Pascal and represented as capital P small a. So, this is the shear stress. Now, I hope you have understood the stress. Now, strain. So, if the force is not sufficient, if we will try to understand in layman language. So, maybe you can see, so let us say we are applying this force to this object in perpendicular direction. So, if the internal resistance is not sufficient to balance the external force, so what happens to the object? So, object may reduce, may be reduced in size, and if it is compressive in nature, right, and if we apply the tensile force, then there may be some elongation in the direction along with the force is being applied. So, here we can see it is a case where the forces are applied tangential in the normal direction along the axis of this, and the nature is tensile in nature. So, what is happening to this object? Let us say this object is not capable of objecting these forces. So, it is capable of producing less internal resistance as compared to the external forces. Then what may happen to this? It may elongate in this direction. So, here we can see the initial length is L and now it has been elongated to delta L. So, this is the additional length, right, on the at the cost of diameter. Let us say diameter is reduced. So, we will discuss this later on. So, it means upon the application of forces, some reduction in the diameter cause the increment in the length. So, length is increased by some amount. So, the strain is change in dimension, that is delta L. So, this is the dimension, initially it was L, now it is L plus delta L. So, what is the increment in the length? So, that is delta L. So, delta L upon the original dimension. What was the original? That was the L. So, by definition epsilon is equal to delta L, it is the change in dimension and upon the original dimension. So, what would be the strain unit? That would be dimensionless, because it is meter by meter, that is the dimensionless quantity, right. So, this is the strain. So, again strain may be of two types, normal strain and shear strain. So, normal strain is generally represented by epsilon n. So, epsilon strain means it is represented by epsilon. So, if you will see here, when forces act normal to the surfaces, so normal strain होगी. Normal strain means इस तरीके से surface is this, force is acting in this direction, this is perpendicular. So, it is normal strain case. So, normal strain may be of two types. One case may be ki we are applying tensile force, the length may be increased. One case may be the compression would be there. So, compressive strain would be there, means there may be increment in the size whatever we have discussed in the previous slide. So, L plus delta L after the application of this force. So, this is the normal tensile strain represented by epsilon t, and second case may be when the force is compressive in nature. So, it may reduce the size. So, delta L is reduced. Now, the original size final size will become delta L minus up to this we did not see this. So, from here to here what is the length? Initially its length was L, now it has reduced to L minus delta L. So, epsilon, this is the tensile strain. So, how much it is? The increment in the length divided by original length. So, delta L by L. Now, compressive strain means decrement in the length. Decrement means it is in we are having the negative sign here. So, minus delta L by L. So, this negative sign signifies the reduction in the length, right. So, this is the normal strain. Now, shear strain what? Shear strain means when the forces are acting parallel to the surface like here. So, here if it is not sufficient to balance the external force. So, these layers, so it might have several layers. So, due to this force these layers may have the relative motion or the slide with respect to this. So, like they all the layers have shifted towards right due to this force. So, this by this angle it has been shifted to or shear off to new shape. So, if you will see epsilon s is C c dash upon B c, C c dash means this distance upon this distance. So, this distance it is the perpendicular upon base is equal to tan phi. If phi is very small, then tan phi can be reduced to phi radian, because angle is small, then tan phi becomes phi. So, it means epsilon s is equal to phi. So, this is the shear strain we generally call it as. Now, the second is volumetric strain. Volumetric strain means when you compress some balloon or you expand some balloon. So, there may be some change in the overall volume of that particular object. So, the strain means change in dimension divided by the original dimension. So, if it is longitudinal dimension, so longitudinal strain, if it is lateral dimension, lateral strain, if it is overall change in the volume, then it is volumetric strain. So, volumetric strain means it is the change in volume upon original volume. So, this is the, so it is we generally measure by this the overall the overall strain induced in the object. So, if it is in the terms of length, then it is linear strain, and if it is in the terms of volume, then it is volumetric strain like this. So, today we have discussed few things about the stress and strain. In the next lecture, we will discuss about the different elastic constants. Thank you so much.